Hello students, this is my first video for second year classes. Today I am going to start the first chapter, that is the solid state. Already you know that there are three states of matter: solids, liquids and gases. Solids have definite shape and definite volume, whereas liquids have definite volume but not a definite shape. Gases do not have definite volume nor definite shape. The definite shape and definite volume mainly depends upon the arrangement of the particles. In solids, the particles are closely packed. The position of the particles in 3 dimension is fixed. Because of this reason, they have a definite volume and they have a definite shape. The volume mainly depends upon the fixed intermolecular space among the particles, and the shape mainly depends upon the fixed arrangement of the particles in 3 dimension. So, solids have a definite intermolecular space, and the solids have a definite arrangement of particles in 3 dimension. Because of this, they have a definite volume and definite shape. Liquids have definite volume but not definite shape. It means that in liquids, the intermolecular space among the particles is fixed, but the position of the particles is not fixed. The position of the particle may change. Because of change in the position of the particles, they will take the shape of the container in which they have placed. It means that definite shape mainly depends upon the position of the particles, whereas definite volume mainly depends upon the intermolecular space, that is definite intermolecular space. Gases do not have definite shape nor definite volume because they do not have a definite position of the particles in 3 dimension, and the intermolecular space among the particles is very large. Because of that infinite, or because of that large intermolecular space, they can compressible infinitely and they can expand infinitely. Here expansion mainly depends upon the attraction among the molecules. There is weak attraction among the gaseous molecules, therefore they can expand infinitely. Okay, these all you studied in the first year. If we are going to define the solid state, we are going to say that it is the state of the matter where it has a definite shape and definite volume because of close packing of the particles. Because of close packing of the particles, the state has a definite shape and definite volume, and that state we are going to say the solid state. Okay. There are 3 states of matter, already you know. Whenever a matter is going to form a particular state, the 2 important factors will play. They are intermolecular forces and thermal energy. In brief, I am going to explain about intermolecular force. Intermolecular force, nothing but interparticle force. It is the attractive or repulsive force among the particles. If the attractive forces are more, or very strong attraction among the particles is there, the matter is going to form solid. If the weak attraction among the particles is there, then the matter is going to form the liquid gaseous state. Intermolecular force will help us, or intermolecular force always tries the particles to bring closer. Okay, next one, thermal energy. What do you mean by thermal energy? Thermal energy nothing but the energy possessed by the particles because of temperature. As there is change in the temperature, the energy possessed by the molecules are going to be changed. At a particular temperature, the molecules or the constituent particles have a particular amount of energy. That energy nothing but thermal energy. Here thermal energy mainly depends upon the temperature. Thermal energy always tries the molecules to move away. Here intermolecular force bringing the molecules close, whereas thermal energy making the molecules to move away. Whenever there is formation of any matter, state of a matter, there is a competition between intermolecular force and thermal energy. If intermolecular forces are stronger than thermal energy, then your matter is going to form a solid state. If thermal energy of the particles are more compared to intermolecular force, in that case your compound, your matter is going to form a gaseous state. If these two forces or these two factors are moderate condition, in that condition, moderate condition, the matter is going to form a liquid state. Okay. In your lower classes, you studied that lower molecular compounds exist in gaseous state or liquid state, whereas higher molecular compounds, molecular mass compounds exist in the solid state. It means that intermolecular forces mainly depends upon the attractive forces among the particles. That attractive force mainly depends upon the mass of the particles. Higher the mass, more is the attraction. When there is more attraction, strong intermolecular forces are there. When there is strong intermolecular forces, the matter is going to form a solid. It means already you learned in first year that different intermolecular forces. I am not going to tell in detail about that, just I am going to give the basic of that. Intermolecular force mainly depends upon the molecular mass as well as size of the particles. Higher the size, more is the interaction among the particles. Because of that, the the matter is going to form the solid. If the thermal energy, the opposite to that, thermal energy nothing but it is a type of kinetic energy possessed by the particles. Higher the kinetic energy, less is the interaction among the particles. Interaction nothing but the time spent by two particles. Time spent by the two particle, interaction energy nothing but whenever the two molecules are going to interact, what kind of forces experience between these two, that is nothing but interaction energy. If the molecules are moving with higher speed, their interaction energy is less, or the interaction time is less. In short interval, they are attracting immediately, they are losing their attractive power, attractive force. So thermal energy tries to move the particles away from each other. Higher the thermal energy, the matter is in the form of gaseous state. Lower the thermal energy, or thermal energy is zero, nearly equal to zero or negligible, then the matter is in the form of solid. It means we can say that in gaseous state thermal energy of the particles is very high compared to intermolecular forces of attraction. In solid state, intermolecular forces are very strong compared to thermal energy, or we can say thermal energy of the particles in solids is zero. It means they are not moving, their kinetic energy is zero. We can say thermal energy may be zero, but we cannot say zero because at particular temperature the particles have a type of vibration. They may not be moving, their velocity may be zero, but they have vibration. So because of that vibration they may be having certain amount of energy. So we cannot say their thermal energy is zero. Okay. This is about the intermolecular forces and thermal energy. Next, general properties of solids. What are the general properties of solids? Let us know. First, the constituent particles are closely packed and their intermolecular distance is very small. In case of solid state, the molecules are closely packed because of strong attraction. Because of that close packing, their intermolecular distance, intermolecular space is very small. Second one, the constituent particles occupy fixed position and can only oscillate about their mean position. Already I told you. In solid state, the particles have a fixed position. They are not changing their position is fixed. When they are not moving, their kinetic energy is zero, their velocity is zero, kinetic energy is zero, but they have only one kind of motion, that is vibration. The molecules are vibrating in their mean position, they are oscillating in their mean position, and this oscillation or this vibration depends upon temperature. If you raise the temperature of that solid, vibrational energy of that solid goes on increase. At 20 degree, it may be having very less vibration or oscillations. If you increase that to 100 degree or 120 degree or 200 degree, like this, as you increase the temperature of that solid, its oscillation energy or vibration of the particles or molecules goes on increase. Okay. Third one, solids have high rigidity. High rigidity. That high rigidity because of close packing of particles. Because of close packing of particles, the intermolecular distance is zero or intermolecular space is zero. So you cannot change the volume of the solid, you cannot change shape of the solid, because the volume can be decreased whenever there is intermolecular space. The volume of gases can be decreased because whenever we compress a gas, there is decrease in the intermolecular space, there is decrease in the intermolecular distance. But in case of solids, the intermolecular space is negligible or zero. It means the particles are closely packed, they are attached, space is there, but that space is not occupied by another solids, so they cannot be compressed. Based on that, we can say they have high rigidity. Okay, next, solids have high density. High density of the solid because of close packing. Because of close packing, small volume of that solid occupied by more number of particles. as more number of particles, it means the mass of the solid increased. As the mass of the solid per unit volume increased, its density is increased. I think you understood here. Density is given by mass by volume. As the mass goes on increase, the density of the substance matter goes on increase. As the volume goes on increase, the density of that matter goes on decrease. Okay, that is the common, that is the general definition of density. Here, because of close packing, large number of solid particles are occupying in small volume. It means that volume, the mass of that volume is increased. When there is increase in the mass of that volume, we can say it is having higher density. And last property, that is solids are incompressible. Already I think you understood here. Compressible, incompressible. Compressible only possible whenever there is intermolecular space. Solids do not have intermolecular space, therefore they are incompressible. Okay, these are the some properties of the solids. Now let us know the classification of solids. The solids can be classified on the basis of two factors. Number one, arrangement of particles in three dimension. Number two, nature of attraction among the constituent particles or the nature of constituent particles. Based upon arrangement of particles, the solids can be classified as crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Depending upon the nature of attraction among the particles, we are classifying as ionic solid, covalent solid, metallic solids and molecular solids. That will be learned in detail afterwards. First, let us know the crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Crystalline solids and amorphous solids, they are differ in arrangement of particles in three dimension. In crystalline solids, the particles are regularly arranged in three dimension. Regularly arranged, nothing but the distance between the two particles is fixed, and the angle making the structure of the crystal is also fixed. If this kind of arrangement is there, then we call it as regular arrangement, and it is present in crystalline solids. In case of amorphous solids, there is no regular arrangement of particles. They are irregularly arranged. It means the distance is not uniform and they are not giving any particular structure to the solids. That kind of arrangement is called irregular arrangement, and it is present in amorphous solids. Okay, now let us learn the properties of crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Better to compare the properties of crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Here already you know that the regular arrangement of particles is occurring in crystalline solids, whereas irregular arrangement of particles is available in case of amorphous solids. That is, in crystalline solids the particles are regularly arranged, whereas in amorphous solids the particles are irregularly arranged. Second important property, that is, crystalline solids have sharp melting point, whereas amorphous solids melt in a range of temperature. What do you mean by sharp melting point? Sharp melting point means the solid is melting at a particular temperature. For example, ice. The melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius. It means at 0 degrees Celsius, the complete ice is going to convert into liquid water. For example, if you may be having 1 gram ice or 100 gram ice or 1 kg ice, complete conversion of ice into water will take place at 0 degrees Celsius. It means that there is no increase in the temperature of ice unless the complete ice is converted into water. If complete ice is converted into water, then there is increase in temperature. So that phenomena, that condition, that is called sharp melting point. Second question, why crystalline solids have sharp melting point? As you know that melting point nothing but the temperature at which a solid is converted into liquid. A solid is converted into liquid, it means that the molecules are moving away from each other against the intermolecular force of attraction. You know that in solids the molecules are closely packed because of stronger attraction. As you heat, their thermal energy goes on increase. Because of that increase in thermal energy, they are moving away. So a particular amount of heat energy they required, and that depends upon temperature, so they will melt at a particular temperature. Then complete crystalline solid has regular arrangement of particles. Each and every part of the crystal has same kind of arrangement of particles. Because of that, each and every part of the crystal experience same force of attraction. Because of all these things, the complete crystalline solid will melt at a particular temperature. Whereas in case of amorphous solids, there is irregular arrangement of particles. So irregular arrangement of particles means some part of the solid experience stronger attraction, some part of the solids experience weaker attraction. The part of the solid which is having weaker attraction, that will melt at lower temperature. The part of solid which is having stronger attraction, that will melt at higher temperature. It means they are not melting at a particular temperature, but they are melting in between two temperatures, 20 to 25 or 50 to 55 or 50 to 60, 70 to 80, 85 to 95, like this. Means they are melting in a range of temperature. It means they start at a particular temperature, they start melting at a particular temperature, and the melting completes at a particular temperature. There is a minimum temperature and maximum temperature. So we call it as range of temperature. It is happening because of irregular arrangement of particles. Different part of the amorphous solid experience different force of attraction. Because of that, they have different melting points at different regions. I think you understood that. Third property. Crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature, whereas amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. Isotropic, anisotropic. Iso, nothing but same. Aniso, that is opposite to iso, that is different. Each and every solids have some physical properties. They may be refractive index, they may have specific gravity, they may have specific heat capacity, conductivity. These are some physical properties of solids. The values of these physical properties are different in different direction. For example, we have taken one solid. Along x-axis we are going to measure certain value for certain physical property. Along the y-axis we get different value which is not equal to x value. Along z-axis it may be different value. It means different directions have different values for physical property, and this phenomena is called anisotropic, and crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature, whereas amorphous solids have same value in all direction. They have same value for physical property, they have same specific heat capacity, they have same refractive index, they have same thermal conductivity. In all direction they are having same value, and this phenomena is called isotropy, and amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. Why crystalline solids are anisotropic? Why amorphous solids are isotropic? Even though amorphous solids have irregular arrangement, but that irregularity is present throughout the crystal, along x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, between the axes, in all direction they have same kind of arrangement of particles even though it is irregular. Because of this they have same value for physical properties. But in case of crystalline solids we have different values. Why they have, even though they are regularly arranged, but we are getting some irregularity. For example, if we go in one direction we are getting one kind of particles, one kind of arrangement, A B A B A B, like this. Along another direction it may be B B B B, in another direction it may be A, like this. It means that even though crystalline solids have regular arrangement, but whenever we consider a particular direction, in that direction the particles availability is different. Because of this reason they show different values for physical properties, so they show anisotropy. Okay. Next property, that is crystalline solids give clean cleavage on being cut with a sharp knife. Whenever we cut crystalline solids by using a knife, they are giving clean, they give clean cleavage. It means they give a regular surface. There is no irregularity on the surface of the solid, and this is because of regular arrangement of particles. Each and every part of that crystal experience same force, so they have regular arrangement, so they cut in a homogeneous way or regular way. Whereas in case of amorphous solids, we are on cutting amorphous solids we are getting irregular surfaces. Some means this is because different part of the solid experience different kind of attraction. Okay, next, fifth property, that is the crystalline solids have definite heats of fusion, whereas amorphous solids have different heats of fusion. Let us know what do you mean by heat of fusion. Heat of fusion nothing but amount of heat energy required to convert solid into liquid. If we say enthalpy of fusion or enthalpy of fusion, it means that amount of heat energy required to convert 1 mole of a solid to liquid. Crystalline solids have definite heats of fusion. Heats of fusion, it means amount of heat energy supplied to a solid to convert a solid to a liquid. It means we are breaking the attraction force among the particles. In case of crystalline solids, each and every part of the crystal has same kind of attraction, same kind of arrangement, same kind of attraction, so they require same amount of heat energy to separate. Because of that, they have a definite heats of fusion. But in amorphous, what happens? There is irregular arrangement. Some part of the solid has strong attraction. Another part of the solid may be having weak attraction. Wherever there is strong attraction, it requires more amount of heat energy to break the attraction force. Wherever wherever there is strong attraction, large amount of heat energy is required to break. Wherever weak attraction, less amount of heat energy is required to break. Because of this reason, what happens? They do not have a definite heat of fusion. They are not having a definite value. But crystalline solids have a definite volume. Okay, next. Crystalline solids are called long range order solids, whereas amorphous solids are called short range order solids. Long range order solids, short range order solid. Long range, it means throughout the crystal in 3 dimension there is regular arrangement of particles, so we call long range order solids. Whereas even though there is irregularity in the arrangement, but some part of the solid, amorphous solid, has a regularity in the arrangement of the particles, so that part appears to be a crystalline arrangement. So we are going to say that short range order solids. And last property, that is crystalline solids are called true solids, whereas amorphous solids are called pseudo solids. True solid, what do you mean by true solid? True solid, nothing but the matter or the substance which has a definite shape and definite volume. At all condition, if it is showing definite shape and definite volume, then we say it is a true solid. If its volume or if its shape is going to change, then we say it is not a true solid. For example, sugar is also solid, wheat flour is also solid. Sugar is a crystalline solid, so you cannot compress sugar, you cannot decrease the volume of sugar, whereas you can compress the volume of wheat flour. We are not going to change the mass, but here we can decrease the volume of wheat flour by compressing, by applying pressure. But the volume of sugar cannot be compressed. So here we can say that sugar is a true solid because we are unable to compress the volume, whereas wheat flour is a pseudo solid because we can compress its volume. It means we can change its volume. So we are going to say that amorphous solids are the pseudo solids. I think you understood the differences between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. By this I am going to complete today's video. If you have any doubts regarding crystalline and amorphous, you can ask the questions in description box. If you have any suggestion, you can suggest in description box, and I request your cooperation to promote my videos. Thank you.